Have you ever felt like you're constantly busy, but just not getting anywhere? It's a really common struggle in our digital world. But what if I told you there's a framework out there designed to help you break through that exact feeling of stagnation? Well, there is. It's called the TNT Digital Mindset, and it's all about 7 key behaviors that can unlock some real strategic growth.
Let's just be real for a second. You know those days, right? You're jumping between emails, you're in meetings, you're scrolling through feeds, you are busy. But when you finally log off, you look back and think, what did I actually accomplish today? If that sounds familiar, trust me, you are not alone. It's a feeling that's become way too common in our super connected world. So, in this explainer, we're going to break down how to overcome that feeling. First, we'll look at the root of the problem. Then, we'll talk about a big shift in perspective. It's a real game changer. After that, we'll dive into the 7 core behaviors. And finally, we'll wrap up with how to turn all this knowledge into actual real-world impact.
So what is really happening when we feel busy but totally unproductive? The source material calls this the stagnation trap, and it's the perfect name for it. It's that super frustrating cycle where we're always in motion, but we're not making any real progress. You know, it's like being on a hamster wheel. You're running and running, but you're not actually going anywhere.
Now, here's the kicker. This feeling, it isn't random. It's actually the result of specific habits that we repeat over and over again. Think of them like tiny little leaks in a boat. One leak doesn't seem like a big deal, right? But over time, all those little leaks can totally sink your progress. These are the small, everyday things we do that just drain our energy, shatter our focus, and slam the brakes on our growth. Okay, so if these habits are the problem, then what's the solution? This is exactly where the TNT Digital Mindset comes in. It's all about making a pretty fundamental shift in how we think. This isn't about working harder or just being more talented. Nope, it's about strategically changing your behaviors. This quote from the source material just hits the nail on the head. In today's world, it's not really about being the smartest person in the room anymore. It's about the choices you make every single day. I mean, think about it. Who are you listening to? Where are you putting your attention? These seemingly small daily decisions are what actually end up shaping our biggest outcomes. So if our behaviors are the problem, then changing them is the absolute key to unlocking our potential. The TNT Digital Mindset gives us a roadmap to do just that. It's a framework built on 7 strategic behaviors that we can consciously work on to drive real, meaningful growth. So, you ready to dive in? All right, let's start with the foundation. The first 3 behaviors are all about our mindset. It's about how we see the world and how we process all the information coming at us. If you can get these right, you're already way ahead of the game. The first behavior is all about your environment. Look, the people you surround yourself with, the content you consume, it all matters. It can either lift you up or drag you right down. If you're constantly surrounded by negativity, it's going to be incredibly hard to make progress. So what can you do? It could be as simple as unfollowing negative accounts or, making a real effort to spend more time with people who actually inspire you. Behavior number 2 is about who you listen to. In a world full of so-called gurus, we have to be so discerning. The TNT Digital Mindset has a fantastic rule of thumb. Don't take advice from someone you wouldn't trade places with. It's that simple. Seek out guidance from people who have actually achieved the results you're aiming for. Their advice is a roadmap, not just an opinion. And the third foundational mindset is about taking ownership. It is so easy to play the victim, to blame algorithms or other people for our problems, but when we do that, we literally give away our power. The second you decide to take full responsibility for your life, your responses, your choices, you become the one in control. That's when you really accelerate your ability to learn, adapt, and grow. Okay, so now that we've laid that solid foundation with the right mindset, it's time to talk about focus. In a world of just endless distractions, your ability to focus is basically a superpower. So in this next part, we're going to explore 2 behaviors that will help you protect your 2 most valuable resources, your commitment and your attention. Behavior number 4 is all about the incredible power of saying no. We live in this culture that just glorifies the hustle and the grind. But the real truth is, you can't do everything. The key to making real progress is to focus on just a few key priorities and say no to pretty much everything else. This might mean turning down a new project or even just declining a social invite. It's not about being selfish, it's about being strategic. And that leads us right into behavior number 5, protecting your attention. In our digital world, your attention is a currency. And every single day, companies are spending billions of dollars trying to steal it from you. If you don't actively take control of your attention, believe me, someone else will. So what are you going to do? Are you going to let your focus get eaten up by mindless scrolling, or are you going to take a stand and protect your most valuable asset? So, you've got the right mindset. You're protecting your focus. Now it's time for the final piece of the puzzle, driving real growth. In this last section, we'll cover 2 behaviors that are all about turning what you know into what you do, and turning that action into real progress. Behavior number 6 is such a game changer. It's the simple idea that learning without applying what you've learned is just entertainment. And I know I've been so guilty of this. I'll read a book or watch a tutorial and feel really smart, feel like I've learned something. But if I don't go and immediately apply it, that knowledge just fades away. Real growth only happens when we take what we learn and actually put it into practice. And that brings us to our final behavior, and it is a big one. Progress is personal. I know it's hard. We are constantly just bombarded with images of other people's highlight reels on social media. It is so easy to fall into that comparison trap. But here's the thing. Everyone is on their own unique journey. The only person you should ever be competing against is the person you were yesterday. And this slide really says it all, doesn't it? On one side, you have social comparison. It just distorts your perspective, kills your confidence, and it's totally unproductive. On the other side, you have internal progress. It's sustainable, it's actionable, and you measure it against your past self. The choice is yours. So there you have it, the 7 behaviors of the TNT Digital Mindset. But look, just knowing this information is one thing. Actually putting it into practice, that's a whole other ballgame. So in this final section, we're going to talk about how to take these principles off the screen and turn them into real-world results. Let's get really practical here. In business, this can mean saying no to a bunch of new ideas so you can focus on perfecting your main offer. In your career, it could mean blocking out 2 hours every morning for deep, focused work with 0 distractions. And when it comes to tech, it means choosing tools that actually help you achieve your goals, not just tools that are designed to get you addicted. At the end of the day, this whole thing isn't about being the busiest person in the room. It's about being the most intentional. In the digital world, clarity is your superpower. When you know exactly what you're doing and why you're doing it, you become unstoppable. So where do you even start? Here's a simple 4-step plan. First, just take a hard look at your environment. Who are you letting influence you? Second, get really ruthless with your commitments. What can you cut? Third, protect your focus time like it's a precious resource. Block it out on your calendar. And finally, just take one thing you learned today and apply it. Don't wait. The time to start is right now. So, to recap, here are the big takeaways from the TNT Digital Mindset. Your environment matters more than your motivation. Taking responsibility gives you control. Your focus grows when you say no more often. Learning is useless without action, and the only person you should ever compare yourself to is you. And now, the final question is for you. Of these 7 behaviors, which one are you going to focus on first? Remember, you don't have to change everything all at once. Just pick one. Start there. Start today. A huge journey always begins with that first single step. Thanks for tuning in.